What you can't excuse is you not showing up, you not being there at practice on time, you not being there at meetings on time, because this can roll into something that we do not want to see. I need to see Joel Embiid take accountability, and that starts in the Memphis game.
It has somehow been 2.5 years since we last talked with this terrific sports journalist. She's the sports director for the Delmarva Sports Network. She covers the Delaware Bluecoats, and with our pal Keith Pompey, she co-hosts the daily Locked On 76ers podcast. We say hello once again to Kayla Santiago. Hey, Kayla.
Hey, how are you?
I'm great. It has been a while, certainly. It won't be our only topic, but we have to start with, well, what happened Monday night with the mess that is the Philadelphia 76ers. I guess the good news is you and Keith have plenty to talk about every day, but here we go. The reports say Tyrese called out Joel Embiid for being late for practice and pretty much every other team function. How have we gotten to this dumpster fire situation, as you put it, Kayla?
It is so brutal right now, and a dumpster fire is exactly what it is. You know, I love that Tyrese Maxey is going out there and saying you need to make yourself be held accountable, but Tyrese shouldn't be saying that to the franchise player of the Philadelphia 76ers. So it is just a mess right now in this organization. And Keith and I talked about how this road trip could possibly have an identity for the Philadelphia 76ers. Well, these next 5 games before December hits, it's going to really tell us who this team is and who Joel Embiid wants to turn out to be. Is he just going to sit there? Is he going to lay back? Because listen, Joel Embiid is out there not playing like he even wants to play the game of basketball. I'm talking no free throw attempts for the first time since 2017, 2018. Not even the swoop thing he does that he gets called almost every single time for. There was no sense of urgency out there. I'm glad Tyrese Maxey called him out, but you shouldn't have to do that for your franchise players. So we'll see if Joel Embiid takes that criticism and actually starts to show up on time and be there and put in the work, or if it's just going to be, all right, if you don't do this, then maybe this is Tyrese Maxey's team now.
Well, he's played just 3 games so far, Embiid. He's not shooting well. He looks lethargic. He didn't even get to the free throw line, as you said, Monday. That certainly is a rarity. Now, is this, do you think, still because he's ramping up from whatever knee issue he had, or is it something more than that, perhaps?
I think part of it is the knee issue. I definitely think every time he comes back from an injury, it always seems to be that he's not playing very well or at his best, and the cardio isn't there. And I understand that point. The part I don't understand is we've seen a 50% Joel Embiid, and we've said, well, okay, we want him to play even if he's at 50% because his value is out there. Well, it wasn't out there in the last game that they just played against the Miami Heat. He was a -22, and Andre Drummond was a +13 on the floor. So when you look at that, you say, Joel's not even doing the small things out there anymore, and that's just him not wanting to be out there. I don't know what's going on. Clearly, there's tension in the locker room happening right now, and the situations arising earlier on in the season with Joel Embiid and his family being talked about and things like that. So maybe that's in the back of his head and more of a mental game for Joel right now. But I can excuse being lethargic and the cardio not being there and possibly being injured. I cannot excuse you going out there and just not putting in any type of effort to play the game of basketball.
Now, full disclosure, we're speaking at midday Wednesday, so we're not sure as yet whether Tyrese Maxey will be in the lineup tonight in Memphis. But we will very soon, we think, finally see the big 3, Maxey, Embiid, and Paul George on the court together. But still, it's going to take a while. How long do you think it will take for the guys to, gel?
It's so interesting because it's not even the 3 of them, but I look now, too, at Jared McCain and how Jared McCain will gel with Paul George, Joel Embiid, and Tyrese Maxey. And I say that because Jared McCain has been playing so well, but he's not going to be the primary scorer when you have those 3 guys on the floor. So do you bring him off the bench? I think that's something that Nick Nurse should look at. And I don't want to throw Jared McCain to the bench because he's been so good, but he is not going to have the same value in a starting lineup with Paul George, Joel Embiid, and Tyrese Maxey. They're just not going to give him the ball. It is going to take some time. I say if Tyrese Maxey comes back in 2 games, it probably will take to that December game. But the fact that Jared McCain is giving you 20 points in that last game against Miami Heat, and you can't even score 90 with Joel Embiid and Paul George on the floor, Tyrese Maxey is going to elevate that, and I think he is going to be the one that puts this team together because he cares. He wants to be out there. He wants to play well, and that's really going to lift the morale of the team if Joel Embiid can get on board and not take the criticism as a bad thing.
Well, you mentioned the one major bright spot in this horrible 2-11 start to the season, and that is the play of the rookie guard, Jared McCain. What is your take on his performance, and how might his role change once Maxey does come back and get into the starting lineup?
So I've said this on Locked On 76ers with Keith. I was not a fan when the 76ers drafted Jared McCain because Dalton Connect was still on the board. And I thought that he would have been a better fit for the right now Philadelphia 76ers. And in my mind, it's okay, it's in a win now situation for this team because Joel Embiid says he has 8 years, but really maybe he has 2 left where he can play at a super high level. So Jared McCain was a pick more for the future. Or so I thought, because he is proving me wrong, and I absolutely love it. Defensively, that's something you still worry about. It's a really small backcourt with him and Tyrese Maxey. But offensively, I mean, he is leading all rookies right now. He is the favorite to win Rookie of the Year. Now, I think those odds will go down a little bit once Tyrese Maxey does come back. But it has been so fun to watch him, and he is exactly what this team needs right now. Consistently, they've had rookies that they look to be high caliber players and to be like somebody like Jared McCain that can knock down shots, and it hasn't worked out. McCain was quite the opposite, expecting him not to be that guy right away, and he certainly has. With that being said, and I've alluded to it, I want him to come off the bench when Tyrese Maxey comes back because I think you lose that value of that point scoring, being able to knock down shots. Maybe he's the primary ball handler in that second unit. So I would like to see him come in on that second unit. I'm thinking, hey, 6th man of the year type vibes, Lou Williams type vibes when he was on the Philadelphia 76ers and what Lou Will was able to do throughout his career. That is what Jared McCain is to me right now. I think Nick Nurse is probably going to try him in the starting lineup early on, but I just don't think he's going to be able to be as valuable and as effective being on the floor at the same time with Tyrese Maxey, Paul George, and Joel Embiid.
I loved Lou Williams, by the way. Great
Me
player.
too.
Hey, with the whole Embiid saga, a lot of people have asked, not just me, where is Daryl Morey? I mean, is it fair for Nick Nurse to have to be the guy to come out and address this situation all the time?
It's so tough because, you know, Daryl Morey is somebody who I truly believe wants to build around Joel Embiid. And a lot of people are saying and starting to blame Daryl Morey, saying this team is constructed pretty badly. You have a lot of vets that are being outrun by a lot of younger players when you play those young teams in the league. But what do you expect when you have and you're paying Paul George, Joel Embiid, and Tyrese Maxey? You're not going to be able to get a bunch of the young guards out there that you also have to pay. So the blame for Daryl Morey, I think, is on that. This constructed lineup isn't fantastic, and I think you could have gotten some better pieces. As much as I love Kyle Lowry and what he did for Villanova, I didn't love him on the Raptors. He's just somebody that it's tough to see him on the floor at this point. But also there is conversations coming out that this team wants to be coach charter. So from that standpoint, that absolutely relies on Nick Nurse. You need to be able to coach these guys harder, and your players shouldn't be asking of that. And that was surprising to me to hear and to see. Now, is Joel just saying that because he got called out? Maybe, but Nick Nurse didn't seem like the guy after having that whole stand with Toronto and Kawhi Leonard that would be like, okay, guys, you just do what you want. I expect more out of that because that's who Doc Rivers was, and that's who Nick Nurse cannot be.
Well, final thing on Embiid, and you mentioned the various options, but how do you see this playing out? I mean, will Embiid, do you think, respond positively to the criticism and, you know, again, when healthy, become the dominant center that we've come to know and love, or will it just spiral further downward?
I think he has to. He is going to lose this city if he does not. And Joel has come out a ton of times and saying, I can't stand the criticism in the terms of people are saying I haven't done enough for this city. I played with a broken face. I played with a torn thumb. I have put my body on the line when I'm extremely unhealthy to be able to play for the city. And nobody is saying that is incorrect. And people appreciate that. But on the other side, how many fans from Philadelphia have had a chance to say, we're going to ride with Joel Embiid no matter what? He gets injured every playoffs. It's because maybe he's a little bit injury prone, but at the same time, he's the franchise guy. We're going to make sure that we cheer him on no matter what. When he comes back, we're going to ride for Joel Embiid. So if you do this, you are going to lose the city of Philadelphia. And if he does this, it is going to be Tyrese Maxey's team. Joel Embiid doesn't have 8 years left in his prime. I know he says he wants to play that long. Maybe he has 8 more years in him to be the second or third option, but it's going to be Tyrese Maxey's team once Joel starts to get a little bit older. That conditioning really starts to go down later in his career. It's going to be Maxey's team. I don't want it to be Maxey's team right now. I want it to stay Joel's team because that's how they win an NBA Finals. But if he comes out and he does not play well and he does not perform well, and I'm not saying he needs to have 35 points and 25 boards, I'm saying I need to see some effort out there. I need to see that you care. I need to see that you want to be on the floor. And if I don't see that in this game against Memphis, it's a downward spiral from here.
So a month ago, ahead of the season opener, Bill Furman and I, my partner on here, predicted 46 and 47 wins respectively for the Sixers. We had Keith Pompey on, your co-host on Locked On 76ers. He went with 51. Those are all looking overly optimistic at this point after the 2-11 start. So right now, Kayla, what are you thinking? How many wins this year? Do they make the playoffs?
It's so tough because my whole thing is they need to get a high seed in the playoffs if they want to get past the second round. I mean, you look at the Celtics right now, they played the Cavs last night, and now the Cavs were able to come back, but the Celtics pretty much had control of that game through three quarters. I mean, Boston is just on a whole nother level. And then you got the New York Knicks, and then you have the Cleveland Cavaliers. And these are teams that the Celtics are up here, but these other teams that are right below them, they're not necessarily on par with Boston, but they are really, really good, and they are going to be really tough to beat. So I think the Sixers need to somehow, some way get in the 3 seed. I don't even want to see them in the 4 seed, but that might happen at this point. You definitely don't want to see them drop to the play-in. I think they do make the playoffs. I don't see them missing out on the playoffs. And the only reason to me that they would miss out if Joel Embiid takes what Tyrese said negatively and doesn't play up to the level that he can play, because they don't win anything without Joel Embiid at his best. And if he can't do that, yeah, they're not going to make the playoffs. But if he can, I still do think that they will be able to make the playoffs. Right now, I think the highest they can get, though, is the 3 seed. I don't see them going any higher than that with the teams in the East.
Oh, I would take the 3 seed in a heartbeat.
Yeah, I would too. We need some teams to lose. We need some luck on our side too. So we'll wait and see if that happens. But I think you can't go into the playoffs as a play-in team and then get knocked out by Boston or the Knicks or even the Cavs in round number 1. That's what it could look like, though.
All right, quick thought about the Eagles, Kayla. They are 8-2 right now, riding a 6-game win streak. Couple of challenging road games up next. The LA Rams, then the Baltimore Ravens. How are you feeling about the Birds and their outlook?
Oh, I love it. It's the only team in Philadelphia that's got people excited right now. You know, it's interesting because I think that Commanders game really showed who Philadelphia was and what this team can do, because Washington is a very good team. Now they're young with their starting quarterback, and I understand that, but you're competing for the NFC East at this point, and it's the Commanders or Philadelphia, and now the Eagles are able to be in that number 1 spot for the time being. So I love what they're doing. I love to see it right now. There were some growing pains early on in the season, but once again, and I've said this with the 76ers and the Philadelphia Eagles, when you don't play preseason games, your season is going to start out rough. You're still getting used to that game speed, and that's how things kind of started a little bit. Even if they were winning games, people were like, well, this doesn't look good. That doesn't look good. Jalen doesn't look 100%. He's missing his spots. He's missing his reads. But now, oh, I'm loving it. The Philadelphia Eagles, they are the fun team to watch right now. And hey, Jalen and the rest of the company, Devontae and AJ carrying this squad. It's been fun to watch. And of course, we can't forget about Saquon Barkley. I don't know what the Giants were doing, but whatever they did, I'm happy about it, because Saquon has been a very, very pleasant surprise in terms of staying healthy, but also not a surprise at all because we knew what he could do.
In our final minute, Kayla, last thing, in addition to working with our pal Keith Pompey at the Locked On 76ers podcast, you are also, as I mentioned, the sports director at Delmarva Sports Network. Tell us what that encompasses and your duties there.
Oh, it is so much, but it's so much fun at the same time. So yeah, I'm the sports director. I oversee our entire operation, and we are a 24/7 sports station on TV in Salisbury, Maryland. So we broadcast a live game every single day, and then we have a late show at 10:30 p.m. every night. We do semi-pro level, college level, and high school level for our live broadcast, and then we also go and cover the Ravens, the Orioles in terms of reporting. So I get to do a little bit of everything. I anchor our show every night. I also do play-by-play. I'm super excited because basketball season for high school and college is really starting to turn out right now, and that's my favorite time of the year. So I'm looking forward to being on the call for a lot of different basketball games, a lot of different high school tournaments that we have, and then also reporting on those big games. So doing play-by-play reporting and anchoring, but also overseeing our operation. We just extended to 5 games a night, 4 behind a paywall, and 1 is free over the air. So we have 5 different games right now DSM Plus. People, if they want to subscribe, they can too. It is really cool to be able to see how we've grown. It's only been over just 2 years of us having this full 24/7 production on TV, backed by our parent company and Draper Media. So it's been a lot of fun. It's been really exciting to see how we've grown as a network, and I love overseeing the operation. It's fun to kind of be a leader and, you know, lead a team to success and go through the trials and tribulations. And then also, of course, doing what I love, being on TV, calling games, being on air.
You're a busy lady. Follow this terrific sports journalist on X at Kayla_Santiago1 and check out the daily Locked On 76ers podcast on YouTube that she co-hosts with our pal Keith Pompey. Kayla, thanks for making this return visit to Philly Pressbox Radio.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.